Good morning. I am thrilled to be here kicking off the Envision conference. At GSK, our purpose around protecting life and fighting disease has never been more important in these last 16 months. It has been crazy. For everyone that works in tech, and especially at GSK, where life-saving and doing it at the scale of mankind has meant everything to us. Unprecedented, the most overused word of 2020 and now 2021. But that's the right word for us. Tech has been the headlights at GSK and in most companies around the world. We started our transformation journey at GSK in 2018. Agility, product alignment, technology that was future focused, all of those have been our themes. But let me tell you, they have been massively amplified during the pandemic. Everything has felt like it's taken 5 years in terms of just a few months, and yet the acceleration digitally has been crazy. At GSK, not only have we been delivering the medicines, making sure with agility that we can both manufacture and get things to our patients, we've also been in the process of splitting our company into two great companies, which is going to happen in the first quarter of next year. Tech has been in the middle of all of that. Two incredible partners of ours, and I say that very carefully with regard to strategic partners, have been Accenture and Microsoft. And I'm joined today by Judson Althoff, the EVP of Microsoft's Worldwide Commercial Business. Congratulations, new title. And Julie Sweet, the CEO of Accenture, somebody I greatly admire, who has an equal, to me, need for speed around these types of things. There are a lot of challenges and opportunities that our audience and my fellow business leaders are interested in. And so, let's just start off, Judson, looking at the future. What's your outlook?
Hey, thanks, Kat, and thanks for hosting Envision for us here. It's fantastic to be able to spend some time with you and Julie. Look, I think the first thing I have to just say is a huge thank you to you and the entire team at GSK for everything you've done throughout the pandemic. As you've said, it's been really a slog, frankly, for the last 18 months, and we have been working together as an ecosystem to help so many around the world, and GSK has really been on the front lines, and so we're all grateful for the work you've done and grateful to have been a partner to you. As I look into the future here, for us, we're finishing up a fiscal year here at Microsoft, starting a new one in July. And the overarching theme that I have for us here is one of digital optimism. And I say that first being grounded with humility and being humble for the fact that there are so many that are still struggling around the world to come out of the pandemic. But there is this sense of optimism that we will come out of it, we will come out of it stronger, and technology will have a role. If I think about it, in many ways over the last 18 months, we've been investing in technologies across the board, across every industry around the world, that will actually propel us into the future. They'll enable us for hybrid work. They'll enable greater resiliency in our supply chains. They'll allow us to get back on track for some of our big earthly goals around sustainability. We'll get on top of cyber and the threats that we see around the world. So I have this overwhelming sense of optimism. At the end of the day, humanity will prevail. Technology will have a role. And if technology has a role, Accenture and Microsoft will team together to empower our customers to reach their potential. So look, I'm excited about what the future holds for us.
Awesome. You know, Julie, there has been a lot of really interesting things that have been going on. And I know that you've done some research in your area around this topic as well on the outlook. Any insights you would share?
Great. First of all, it's fun to be together to think about not the task in hand and your transformation, but to kind of lift up. And I would tell you that it's the tale of three worlds right now, three worlds. And there's optimism in this, Judson. It's leaders, laggards, and leapfroggers. And that's where the optimism is. pre-COVID and fall of 2019, we measured the performance of companies based on technology, depth, breadth, leadership, and culture, and looked at their financial performance. The top 10%, the leaders, were performing 2x, twice the bottom 25%. 12 months after the pandemic, we just published this research, we're now 18 months in, that 2x has gone to 5x, right? So great if you were a leader. And by the way, the research shows the leaders are just continuing to invest, which is what we're seeing. Now, the optimism comes from the leapfroggers. This was a category that was not statistically significant back in 2019. And it's companies that are saying, we see the urgency, we need to do things differently. They're characterized by three big things. By, first of all, systems maturity, so really investing in the cloud and building the digital core. Second, they're touching twice the amount of processes, something we talk a lot about, end to end, and how much are we taking on? We sometimes call that compressed transformation. And third, they're expanding the reach. In other words, they're breaking out of silos to really do end to end. And so digital optimism, you too can be a leapfrogger.
Wow.
If you're a laggard.
Fascinating. Yeah, if you're a laggard, stay tuned for version 4 of Envision. It is really insightful. As a manufacturer, somebody who's working in the supply chain world, that has never taken a more left turn disruption than it has during these days. I mean, the panic sales that we had in order to fill the pipeline on medicines as well as our consumer healthcare businesses, air freight shut down overnight, borders closed, crazy things that were happening in supply chain. Just to have essential workers get to work in 70 of our factories and across the world for all of the colleagues that are watching. Data and analytics is the only thing that saved us. And I would tell you it was agility in our analytics, huge partnership to both Microsoft and Accenture in that. How are you really, Julie, I think that there's a lot of thought leadership at Accenture around this topic. How are you actually helping organizations when it comes to this crazy time of agility in manufacturing and supply chain?
Well, first of all, there really is an acceleration. I mean, we've been investing in digitizing supply chain and including manufacturing for a decade, but we didn't actually anticipate it being huge for a couple more years. Like there were leaders, of course, but post-COVID, because of the reasons, whether it was health and safety, the need to change, build resilience, the need to change manufacturing, there's been a massive acceleration. But it's a lot like digital was in 2013 when we first started seeing it. There are leaders who are now quickly moving to do fast experimentation and scale. So the work we're doing together at Mars, for example, where if you eat Skittles, you'll be excited because we're helping fill in a much more productive and efficient way Skittles bags. It took us 12 weeks together with Mars to get that going. It'll now scale. And I know another theme for the sessions today is sustainability. So it's cutting down on waste. But what is different than back in 2013, 2014, when people started in the digital journey is the ability to use cloud, digital twins, existing technologies to go much, much faster, use the data, as you said, and get to outcomes and scale at a speed, if you're willing to do it, right, and take it on and go work across the organization, that is really breathtaking. And that is very exciting.
I want to build on one of your points and just unpick it, Judson, around climate and water crises. I know that we've been really consumed as a species working on survival around COVID-19 and making that right, COVID, the long game. But climate and water crises are upon us as well. At GSK, we launched Healthy People, Healthy Planet goals around this decade, getting to zero impact on climate and net positive impact on nature. Tell me about the role that you think technology is going to play there, because I think that is the next frontier of this ecosystem of all of us pulling together. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Kat. And look, we're actually excited about our opportunity here. Just to ground in reality, you're absolutely right. I mean, look, the last 18 months has been about survivability. And frankly, we're not out of this until all of us are out of this. And so we still have a great responsibility to help people get out and emerge from the pandemic and thrive in the future. And that has actually placed in a greater burden on sustainability because most sustainable tech comes with a premium. If you want to run your operations in a sustainable way, there are a lot of companies out there looking to bill you for services or products that add to the costs of your bottom line. And frankly, that's just not been tenable throughout the pandemic to consider, as most people have just been trying to work through it. What I love about this, though, is just as no business is 100% resilient, but those that are digitally fortified are more resilient than those that are not, the same is true about sustainability. And so much of the supply chain tech that Julie talked about in her example with Mars and the digital twins work that we're doing at large with many companies across industry can be leveraged to drive sustainable outcomes. Not only do your business processes improve, your carbon footprint reduces, your waste goes way down, and your consumption of water, which is, frankly, our most scarce resource, goes way down as well. In fact, Christoph Beck, who's the CEO of Ecolab, he and I led a sustainability forum a week ago, and we shared how Ecolab's water reduction capabilities can effectively fuse on to the digital twins that we've built across manufacturing to bring down the cost of water consumption. So in effect, all of the work that we've done over the last 18 months to build resiliency in our supply chains, to get lights out factory operations, will actually leapfrog us forward, to borrow from Julie's analogy, leapfrog us forward on sustainability. And I'm really excited about it because Accenture and Microsoft have fast pilots we can execute, frankly, with everyone to get people off the ground so that this is a cake and eat it too moment. You can build resiliency into your supply chains, drive down your cost of operations, and reach your net zero sustainability goals at the same time.
I love the way you said doing that together, because I think that that's what it's going to take as we actually move this world of work from the pure remote back into productive hybrid. If tech isn't going to be the leading edge on doing that, because we were the leading edge on getting us to remote, and in some ways that is going to be the easy part, because productivity in the office work environment is going to be it. It's not just about the tools. It's going to be about process reinvention. It's going to be about the guidance that we get. I honestly I'm tremendously excited about what Accenture and Microsoft are going to be able to do, because you'll both figure it out at scale for your companies, and you're both going to come to us as partners in that world. Julie, tell us there's some hope that we're actually going to get the productivity that we want in this hybrid environment.
I'm actually really optimistic about it. I get now a little thing. We use My Analytics from Microsoft. So we're the largest Teams user. We beta things. It's really fun because I get to say to Judson as a client, like, I need this, which is really great. But I use the My Analytics myself, where it says things like, you've had zero focus time. That was my first report. Zero focus time, right? It changed my behavior. Right. And what I'm super excited about now is how you get the productivity, because it's not, as you said, it's not the tools. Like, companies are trying to change behaviors to do digital acceleration, and they need to change the culture. And for years, how many times I said it takes years to change culture? And we're at Accenture ourselves and with our clients using this data to do interventions like, wow, we were trying to create one solution. Isn't it interesting? These groups aren't talking to each other. How's that going? Right. And so when you think about the collaborations that needed in the new ways of working, right, when you think about the fact that people need to actually have thinking time, and that's been a real challenge in the remote world with everybody at home. And this is where I think technology can really help CEOs, CHROs, business units make real-time interventions and not wake up later with burned out or saying, why didn't that strategy? I mean, the idea that we're going to set 12-month strategies and check them later when there are ways you can get more productive, more insights, I think is really tremendous. And I'm using it myself, right? So it's not just what we're doing with our clients, but literally how I'm moving with my leadership team our own work on behalf of clients. And so I think it's super exciting, as you can probably tell.
Awesome. Well, I don't think that you can actually end a keynote without acknowledging the craziness of the environment that we live in with regard to security. So, Judson, I'm gonna end it here with maybe a couple of words from you and insights around security, because I think that that is hyper important coming through, and then maybe just your final thoughts.
Yeah, thanks so much, Kat. Look, sadly, one thing that hasn't slowed down in the pandemic is the threats from bad actors. There's been a lot of opportunistic attacks that we've seen across industry, and we've been working really hard to invest not only at Microsoft in terms of R&D, but in working with Accenture to help customers adopt a zero trust platform, from endpoints to identity to the backplane that drives cloud application security, as well as the event and incident management. The sad reality is that digital businesses are, in fact, more vulnerable than those that are otherwise physically based. But the good news is that there is a technology foundation that allows us to create a real sound business environment for operating against these cyber attacks and warding off the threats that are out there. So look, you should trust that Microsoft and Accenture can help you all, frankly, build a cyber protection strategy that allows you to thrive in the coming era.
Awesome. Thank you both. This was a terrific opportunity just to hear your thought leadership and actually to see the ecosystem that we rely on in action. So thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for everything you guys are doing for all of us. Thanks,
Yes.
Kat.
Thank you both. Great to see
Bye-bye.
you. Thanks.